Hello Jehovah's Witnesses, thanks very much for watching this video. You'll notice I say hello Jehovah's Witnesses and not hello fellow Jehovah's Witnesses because I'm not one anymore. Oh no, pause it, turn the channel, whatever, go if you must. This video is really because I've started subscribing to a couple of the Facebook sites for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and current Jehovah's Witnesses who are fading. Pardon me, I'm going to use my lean-in chair here, going to talk serious. And I've been noticing more and more comments from people who are saying about that their parents are cutting them off, that after years of just being, politely shunned, now it's total. No, they're not even talking to them, they're not even emailing them because they're a bit too apostate. And I had to say something to get it off my mind. You psychos, you complete nutters, what on earth are you thinking? I mean, I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek. There it is. Because I did it myself. Guts of 12 years I didn't talk to my own sister because she was a disfellowship person. I destroyed a relationship because I thought that's what God wanted me to do. How stupid, how brainwashed and cultish must you be to think that's acceptable? Back when I was in the Jehovah's Witnesses, I remember my brother told me about a friend of his, a guy he window cleaned with, a Scottish fella who lived down in Newry. He's now living in France, the last time I heard. He just had a new son. I think it was his first son, and he was so excited. I remember when I had my first child, and it's wonderful. And they've got those little black eyes, and they stare up at you, and they're just so cute. And he told, Stephen was looking at him, and John said to him, "Oh, he's wonderful. But if he ever abandons Jehovah, I'll cut him off. He's dead to me." And I thought, what the fuck? Seriously? That's your attitude when you've got a new baby in your hands. And you're a dad for the first time. You're threatening a baby. That's what the Jehovah's Witnesses are about. Threatening babies. Right? Now the Jehovah's Witnesses will tell you, oh no, that's just, it's loving arrangement and we just want people to come back into the fold. But this is the thing. That's not what you want. What you want to do is you want to cut off people from their families. Now, I've mentioned in umpteen videos that I'm not particularly religious anymore, and I don't mind if you are, but I'm going to tell you from my perspective, and I'll tell you from your own perspective if you are. The most important, significant, and long-lasting unit in the animal kingdom is the family, okay? That's the case whether or not you believe it because God produced the family in order for us to have stability to raise our children, or the case of whether you believe it because evolution, it came about through evolution. Either way, it's still the same thing. It's the most important and stable unit, or at least it should be, in a family, in the world. It's the family unit. The Jehovah's Witnesses have twisted and warped the Bible so much that a parent would listen to those things, to look at that new child and say, I'll cut him off if he ever breaks away from Jehovah. And when he doesn't mean Jehovah, of course, he means the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. Think about that. It's appalling, it's cult, brainwashed behaviour, and it's happening more and more these days. And I really can't abide it. I can't let it keep going without at least saying something. I try to make these videos funny, but for fuck's sake, how funny does that need to be? Babies being threatened, little kids being told, oh, get baptized at 10, it's A-okay. And then what, you kiss a girl, in school, and suddenly you get a public reproof, you do it again, you get disfellowshipped. And now you can just about eat a meal with your own mum and dad at the age of 12 or 13. But don't you talk about anything else because he's a shunned one, him. God forbid, don't come up with your own opinions, don't think your own thoughts. Because, you could genuinely be shunned from 12 years old now in the society, 10 if you get baptized young and you're a quick sinner, But as the Jehovah's Witnesses know, we're all sinners and we'll all get caught for something eventually. I'm disgusted. The shunning policy with Jehovah's Witnesses is the number one sin. Everything else can be not forgiven and not excused. You can't excuse child abuse, obviously, but at least if a person can say to themselves, oh my goodness, this terrible thing has happened to me, I'm going to go and do this because it's what my conscience dictates, and there's not a bunch of people going, well, you do that, we're going to destroy your life. Why? Because we can. if the shunning policy is set aside, is left, the Jehovah's Witnesses are a toothless cat. Okay? They can do nothing and they've got no authority. And that is what must be focused on. The shunning policy is evil and it is simply a power trick to keep you in a cult. If you want to have a conversation with me about this, feel free to do so. I could not be more serious when I say to you that it's something that all Jehovah's Witnesses should be deeply ashamed about, should be embarrassed about, and that anyone who doesn't know Jehovah's Witnesses, that's all you need to know. Okay? That's all you need to know. Shunning. That's how severely and disgustingly it destroys families. Stop it there. Get out of that cult. And if you know anybody or you're involved with it, you know, if you have any influence over a Jehovah's Witness or a person having a study, show them this video, okay? Google plus it, whatever, stick it on YouTube, I couldn't care less. Tell them and I will be happy to converse with anyone about the subject. And if I'm not available, go to one of the other million, you know, sites that are talking about, who are run by ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. They know way more than me. So thanks very much for this video and I hope you all have a good day.